Okay, I'm going to talk about an ancient and a new Indian tradition. We've all been talking about it. There's been a lot of political debate about black money. Most of us seem to feel that this is something, politicians and criminals generate. The truth is slightly different. You, me, everyone you know, we all contribute to the black economy. That's a $1,000 note. Okay. That's white money. The color of the money keeps changing. That's white money. It's coming out of an ATM. ATM means bank account. Bank account means permanent account number. That's black money. You're paying for an illegal transaction, buying drugs. It could also be black money if you pay a legal transaction but you don't take a cash memo. You buy some furniture, you don't take the cash memo, you save 12.5% and your money becomes black. It could be black and white. You buy a house, you pay 1/3 under the table, you pay 2/3 officially. It could be some shade of grey. You tip a waiter, you pay a mechanic. That's a legitimate transaction, but they don't declare their income. Maybe they would not be taxpayers, but they still don't declare their income, so it goes into a grey area. How large is India's grey or black economy? No one really knows. It could be 20% of GDP, that was one official number. It could be 30% of GDP, that's another official number. It could be 40% of GDP, that's several reasonably quasi-official estimates. It could be 44% of GDP. No one really knows. It's a very big number, whatever it is. Okay, about 1.5 trillion of Indian money lives abroad. It's stashed away in Swiss bank lockers, in the Cayman Islands, in a lot of exotic places. It comes back here as well. It comes back when somebody needs to fight an election, somebody needs to buy property, somebody wants to invest in a stock market. We all generate black money hoping to save taxes and become rich. There's an odd paradox here. The richer the nation, the less the black money in the nation. America, UK, Germany, Europe in general, 10%, 15% of GDP is black. Sub-Saharan Africa, where people starve to death every day, 44% of it is black. So maybe there's something wrong there in assuming that you will become rich if you save on your taxes and keep your black money. One of the things that we really want to use black money for, or you really need to use black money for, is something that's your democratic right as an Indian. You, me. I think every Indian is proud of the fact that you can vote, you can stand for election, but if you actually want to win an election, you will have to go and generate and spend a lot of black money. That was said by Atal Bihari Vajpayee, our former Prime Minister, when he was talking to a parliamentary committee. It is absolutely true. Let's see why. You have a spending limit. If you're a Lok Sabha candidate, you can spend a maximum of 40 lakhs. The average size of a Lok Sabha constituency, 10 to 12 lakhs. 4 rupees a voter? Tell me something, if I gave you 4 rupees, would you vote for me? What do you actually spend? The Election Commission says around 12,000 crores for a general election. The Election Commission also estimates that to be successful, a candidate will probably end up spending about 7 crore. That means about 2 or 3 chaps in every constituency spend around 7 crore because they think they have a genuine shot at winning. You're spending maybe 17 times, a successful Lok Sabha candidate is spending maybe 17 times as much money as he or she officially says she spends. Now, imagine a politician being elected to the Lok Sabha under this process. Do you really seriously think that such a person will then go out and work very hard in order to eradicate black money? If you do, there's a bridge I'd like to sell you. No, why do you and I generate black money? Maybe some of us want to become politicians, but most of us want to buy a house, and why not? Roti, kapra, or makan, you want the makan. Unfortunately, in order to buy a house, If you have only a white income, you will end up finding out that you have to produce some money under the table. So you need to generate black money, and that's not very easy for an individual. It has to be done on a more massive scale if you're a political party and you want 540 candidates to fight an election, or if you're a real estate developer and you want to develop a 1,000-acre estate. How do you do it? We call it reverse laundering. You take white money and you turn it into black. The easiest way to do it is to set up an operation with ghost labor. The construction industry, for instance, officially employs about 30 million casual laborers. The actual reality, who knows how many of them exist, because when you set up a construction project, you hire 200 people, pay them $200 a day, but you say that you hired 400. No one really checking whether all the thumbprints match. And that's $40,000 a day that you're putting into your pocket, that's going from the white to the black account. Do this for a couple of years, you have a lot of black money. More importantly, people who make lots of black money need to turn it white. That's laundering, black to white. There are many ways of doing this, no limits to human ingenuity. But the whole concept of laundering started with the mafia actually opening dry cleaning services. They would say that there were lots of local people who wanted their coats dry cleaned, they gave them to the mafia cleaned the coats and of course received cash. Any other cash service that you can think of is very useful. You run a massage parlor, you run a dry cleaning service, you run a hairdresser. Maybe if you're ambitious, you run a small savings scheme, create lots of ghost accounts, people who don't exist. If you want to get really fancy, you run an airline which has a lot of no-show last minute. Passengers cancelling, they paid in cash, that's cash coming into your account. You open a place of worship, worship is tax deductible, people put money in the donation box. No one really checking whether you're putting money in your donation box. Run a political party, up to $20,000 a political party, donations can be anonymous. So you open a political party and you keep donating 19,999 rupees to yourself. Is black money all that bad? After all, I'm assuming most of the people here are decent human beings. The average human being is a decent human being. Why do we all use it? Partly, no, it isn't really all bad. There are some good aspects to black money. India has just about 15% of India actually works in a job. 15% of the workforce. About 8% actually has a permanent account number, which means that you're filing an income tax return, even if the return is a zero return. What happens to the rest of them? It's difficult. Your plumber or the person who presses your clothes, it would be slightly difficult to take a check, give them a check, have them fill in a 17-page form saying, no, I don't actually owe any taxes. So it would be cumbersome, it would be a process which would interfere with all the normal transactional activities that happen in a normal economy. So yes, that's black money, most of it is actually grey, but it's not a terrible thing. The other point here is that why would a plumber pay taxes? He doesn't get a tangible benefit from it. There is another interesting thing. Because we all pay black money out of our own pockets for every real estate transaction, we have money in the game. This means that even if you take a bank loan, even if you run into trouble, you try not to default on the mortgage. This has probably saved India from the kind of mortgage default situations like America, where millions of people just walked out on their mortgages and the banks crashed. This hasn't happened in India because when you buy a house, you're actually paying 30% under the table and it is your money. But of course, what's bad about black money? There are two bad things. One is it can't be invested normally, which means if you assume India, 30% of the money in India cannot be invested normally. The second thing is that because you, me and every other person who is carrying out a black transaction, which is actually a legal transaction, we're creating channels for people who do illegal things. Essentially, when you buy a house and you're paying in black, you're creating a channel, you're enabling a channel which Dawood Ibrahim will use tomorrow in order to sell something else. That is a problem. It's not an accident that rich nations have low black components. Their money gets used better. Imagine what would happen if India actually had 30% more money earning a return. Can you stop this happening? Well, you can look at other places. How have people stopped it happening? One of the methods is you simplify the tax laws, so you cut the tax rates. You make compliance easy. If I'm filing a zero tax return, or more importantly, if my plumber or my electrician is filing a zero tax return, it should be a one-pager. It doesn't need to be a 17-pager. You give tangible returns. A German carpenter will file income tax returns. He will even pay income tax. His kids, her kids, get free schooling. Healthcare is taken care of for life. If they are unemployed or disabled, they get benefits. They get an old age pension. So yes, there are tangible benefits. We don't get any of this. But if you did actually set it up, maybe people will be more happy about paying taxes. You need to reform land registration laws. No one pays more than the circle rate on paper. So maybe you could set a flat tax, so much per transaction, and tell people we will send you to jail if you underreport the price of this transaction. We will not charge you taxes if you actually report the correct price. You need to change the laws of political funding. You cannot have nonsense where I can keep giving myself 19,999 rupees by setting up a political party. You need to raise the limit. You cannot have an absurd situation where I'm given 4 rupees per voter to try and win an election. You need to jail corrupt public servants. We've made a beginning here. There is a cabinet minister who went to jail a couple of years ago. It's not much, but it is a beginning. You can look at this. You can say there are global best practices. The Americans had a 35% black economy in 1930. It's down to below 10%. Germans are down to 12%, 13%. Look at global best practices. Maybe we can implement them. By and large, you can get more financially literate. But one thing you cannot do, you cannot expect Mandrake the magician to win an election here, wave a wand and make black money go away. Not while you, me, and everyone else you know uses it. Thanks.